So what's the problem with Muslim humanitarian charities? I should put Muslim between quotes as well. Hello and welcome. My name is William and I am a researcher in sociology at the University of Warwick in the UK. And this is a video series around my latest book, Muslims in the Neoliberal Empire, where I talk about how the society colonizes us and what we can do about it. I've already written a book about it, Young Muslim Changemakers, in 2017. Wrote an article, I've done a presentation on this very topic at Zaytuna College. I've shared my module at uni around this topic. Charities are a core component of Muslim life. There is wealth, I've got friends who've been working in these charities and told me that they once saw people giving £10,000 as zakat. So when it's 1/40 of the cash available you have, roughly speaking, well, you've got wealth in there. And the reason why I started my work on Muslim charities is because you find some really good examples of alternatives to how the world works, especially in the smaller ones. You have a very, very strong bonds of trust. There is solidarity. People follow the rules of consultation, consensus. They are very, very good at conflict resolution. They are extremely resilient at functioning and providing services, even if they don't have much money or resources or huge networks, huge sponsors. But sadly, you also have a very dark side. It's almost as if the bigger you go, the more problems you encounter. There's so many stories about, abuse of staff, abuse of volunteers, abuse of beneficiaries, fraud, money laundering, people diverting zakat to buy personal goods like sports cars, financial concerns, misconduct, irregularities, harassment, suspensions of directors, conflict of interest, obscene scenes spent on consultants, competitions, threat, aggressive fundraising tactics. Hey, are you a Muslim man? Have you been dreaming of donating your seeds? If so, look no further. This video is sponsored by Penis Appeal, the first halal sperm donation clinic in the UK. They accept donations from anyone and this completely for free. Penis Appeal offers you a 5-star experience where you can relax in their saunas and watch Sharia compliant porn videos. And if you're daring, you can even do misyar marriage with one of their hostesses for an extra fee. As a non-profit charity, you can donate anything you like, even your zakat. And if you've been worrying about your zakat reaching some orphans abroad, do not worry. They have a policy where 100% of your zakat goes to their CEO for them to buy a second Lamborghini. Penis Appeal, even a small one, can make a big difference. To give them an excuse, it's everywhere like this when it comes to the world of business. When there's money involved, there's greed involved, human nature, there's going to be problems down the line. But the problem is, these organizations market themselves explicitly as being Muslim or Islamic. They have it in their names, Muslim something, Islamic something, which gives them an aura of legitimacy, not mentioning the fact that during fundraisers, they hire scholars to recite verses, so you have a kind of aura of authority, an image of authority that is perceived by the general public. Sometimes they get caught, sometimes not. Lots of the people who I have interviewed who've been working with these big charities complain about all sorts of problems, not only things which are on a legal level, but even on an Islamic ethical level. For example, how do people manipulate the public to donate? People getting hounded, harassed, bullied to donate. If you ever attended a charity dinner, it's very likely you've seen very distressing images and people using techniques of shaming the public and guilting people into donating. Some of my friends and people I've interviewed, they relate how for charity fundraisers, because they are a little bit famous on social media, they've been offered obscene amounts of money. Or, say that you can tell me any percentage you want from the donations and we'll give it to you in exchange of you coming on stage. People hiring luxury hotels for fundraiser dinners. And yes, and it happened to me as well, in the sense that there's one charity that offered me £3,000 for an expense paid trip somewhere, which, I declined because I thought, you know what, this money, which comes from, people's zakat or sadaqah, could be better used at, doing proper projects, not like paying plane tickets and hotels for me. And I'm not a major celebrity in the British Muslim scene. And even more shocking is what people do for public relations, PR. So basically what they post online to show that they're doing good work. People take selfies with people, orphans, without asking their permission, without crediting their names. In my presentation at Zaytuna College, I actually put a slide where I collected some of these selfies taken by some of these charity workers with, surrounded by black children and people, and comparing them to pictures taken by colonial officers back in the 19th century. And you cannot deny the resemblance. And, you may say that, oh, yes, but these charities, they want to help people. They do it for good. And I say, this is what the British and the French said. They said exactly the same thing when they went to Africa. We want to civilize them. We want to help them. But why people can't see the harm they're doing? It's again because of, these are colonial dynamics. People copy and paste what they see in the mainstream without thinking twice. This phenomenon of fundraiser dinners with, celebrity shuyukh coming on stage, or, artists. This is very similar to what you see in the US with Christian mega churches, where you have celebrity scholars, celebrity preachers paid insane amounts of money to just, preach and create a show. But then you have people who argue back, okay, but then how do you show people that you're doing some good work? How do we get recognition? How do we get people to donate? How do we pay the bills? And this is where I counter-argue that maybe because you shouldn't be getting bigger. Of course, first of all, people should be respectful from staff members, beneficiaries, and so on. But what's the purpose of going bigger and bigger and bigger? Well, we have plenty of examples close to home here in the UK of small initiatives who, despite having no money, no resources, no sponsors, no huge networks, they don't know anyone famous, they had a very small following on social media, but they were able to make a huge difference for the people around them. Whether it is, Rumi's Cave in their local neighborhood, which has a no selfie policy. So if you volunteer in the soup kitchen, you don't take pictures of yourself or the beneficiaries or the guests. They have no uniform because they want the guests to feel comfortable. They don't want any distinction between staff members and the guests. And many other initiatives I talk about in my book. So, okay, it takes longer. It's maybe a bit more difficult, but it's possible. And the impact they have is very, very different. Why, in these mega charities, you have a huge turnover of volunteers. You volunteer maybe 1 month and 2, and then you get replaced, and same for staff members. While in these small charities, you see a constant, people who work there, or volunteer there for longer amounts of time because it becomes like a family. So do you want to prioritize public image? Or do you want to prioritize human connection? Of course, you get schools built, you get wells built, and you get orphans sponsored. But the fact that this industry has become basically a Muslim equivalent of the white savior complex on steroids is just concerning. Is it fair for the populations which are supposed to benefit from these dynamics? Is it fair on staff members, on the people who give their zakat and trust these charities with their zakat? But fortunately, you have alternative voices emerging. Some charities are trying to refocus their efforts on the UK because in the UK, you have poor Muslims. You have Muslims who suffer of poverty, homelessness, and many other issues, and who need support. If we follow the concept of stewardship, we have first and foremost a duty of stewardship where we are settled in this country, in our towns, within our family, close to home. It has to be close to home. People give abroad because of this idea of giving back home. But that was for the elders' generation, which had physical and tangible links to abroad. Because if, for example, I look at my wife's family, how are they giving zakat? They are giving money through people they know personally, family members who travel to Pakistan and who know who the poor people in the villages are. So this is how people used to do it. Well, nowadays, if you want to give your zakat, and you're of my generation or younger, you've probably already done this. You go on the internet, you look up different charities, and for example, if you want to buy some like mutton, you want to offer a sheep for Qurbani, you look at who offers the cheapest prices in which region of the world, and just you shop basically. Charity has become a shopping experience. That's just crazy. Charities would try to do things differently. For example, I'm quoting the example of NZF, which focuses on at home exclusively. But how can we prevent charities from committing these abuses? So you have the Muslim Charities Forum, which wants to be a community regulator. And I think because, the Charity Commission cannot oversee everything, and not everything, there's ethical issues which do not fall under the law. So like how to do things, but in the Islamic way. This is why the MCF exists. And they've published, many reports about, how to take pictures for advertising purposes, about managing money, lots of different things. But sadly, they don't have the influence they deserve. As much as I wish there was like a regulator, a body overseeing what the charities are doing, how they spend their money, what are their public relations policies, how do they treat staff members, volunteers and beneficiaries. We are sadly not there yet. But again, like with anything which has to do with capitalism, supply and demand, the power, I believe, is in our wallets. Are you a Muslim woman and you are jealous that men are having misial marriages? Then look no further. This video is sponsored by Mahram Hire. It's a new app that says that if you're looking for a mahram but you can't get married, then Mahram Hire can provide you one for £40 a day. And they told me to say that they have an extensive collection of awesome, rich, good-looking and rich men for you to choose from. With Mahram Hire, start having fun today. This is complete bullshit. What if there was a different way of giving zakat? What if it was in our power to not enable charities to commit such abuses? So me, my wife and our friends, we have come a long, long way, because back in the days, I was guilty of it. I was, shopping around and giving through the internet to like wherever the money would go. But since I've been working with smaller organizations, which I see because I've volunteered with them, I see the work they are doing, I see how they are spending their money, and I see the results. I see, for example, the meals prepared for the guests, the homeless, and how being like together and interacting with the volunteers, it makes, it improves. It doesn't fix homelessness, but improves their lives. So instead of giving to these mega charities with, at the time there was almost no accountability, no traceability, we started to give to charities we know personally, to which we have volunteered with. And we have seen, where the money goes. Because if I give my zakat to, let's say, roomies, I know that this is going to be used to buy food and pay the staff members who cook the meals for the homeless. But now our philosophy has even changed a bit more, because we realize that we live in a society that breaks people, and we know personally friends who are struggling with money, and so they are deserving of our zakat. They have a right over us. There is nothing wrong in giving abroad because of the power of the pound sterling compared to other currencies. Giving, let's say, even £10 can make a huge difference. But the problem is there is an imbalance. There is a need here in the UK, or in Europe, in North America. So this is not to say that big charities are bad or they are good. However, we maybe need to rethink about the charity system and our behavior. How do we give? Why do we give? Where do we give? So what if there was an alternative way of thinking about charity? And again, I'm just laying down like the cards and the maps, and the answer is for us individually to decide. Thank you very much for watching. I hope it was useful, and as always, take care of yourselves and each other.